Okay, so I will get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rust Cryptography Interest Group. Can you all give me a signal if you can hear me okay, and if you can see my screen okay? So just give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me okay, and if you can see my screen. Great, 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 great. Okay, so it's great to have you all here. Thank you for all being here. Quite short notice, quite last minute. And I think before we get started, it's important to say a few words about the things that are going on right now. I think we all know the situation in the world right now is quite perilous, and we hope everything comes to a peaceful resolution, and we stand in solidarity with all those who are currently being displaced, and we stand with all those who are calling for a peaceful resolution to things that are happening right now. It's very difficult to find the correct words to say, but I think the basic thing to all our humanity is that, you know, we just want to get along and make things work. So we stand in solidarity with all those who are currently being displaced, and we just hope things come to a peaceful resolution. Again, thank you all for being here. This is the Rust Cryptography Interest Group. My name is Ernest, and I'm from the DevX initiative. And this is just a quick opening address that I do for those of you who are here for the first time, so that you have some context and you understand what this is and why we're doing these monthly sync-up calls. The Rust Cryptography Interest Group serves as a forum and a roundtable for Rust developers interested in cryptography. It's about fostering dialogue within the Rust cryptography ecosystem. This isn't a showcase for your individual projects or your own agendas. It's about exploring the Rust cryptography landscape and also trying to diagnose what is needed, understanding what community resources are missing, and trying to figure out how we can get together, regardless of, you know, whatever we've got going on individually, to make Rust crypto better. Rust is a very exciting language. It has so much potential to have such an important impact in an area such as cryptography. And it will take all of us to come together as a community to really make it the best it can be. And that's what this is about. That's what these synchronizing calls are about. It's about us getting together and talking about how we can make this better. The Rust Cryptography Interest Group is co-created by Concordium and the DevX initiative, which is where I'm from, and also Rust Crypto.org, which Tony Arcieri headed up. That was its original incarnation. And last year, I got together with Tony and a few others, and we wanted to reignite the Rust Cryptography Interest Group to give those developers interested in Rust crypto a place to come and really work out some of the issues. And Concordium have been leading the charge on that, and we're really thankful for them through the DevX initiative, which I'm a part of. And check them out, see what they've got going on, and also check out Rustlang, the project, of course, as well. We also work in collaboration with Rich Salz, who will be my co-host today. He will be my my right hand. Say hello, Rich. I'll allow you to introduce yourself and Akamai to those who may not be aware.
Sure. Okay. I will say that I was involved heavily with OpenSSL for close to a decade or so. And so as penance for my sins, I am interested in Rust crypto and trying to help out where I can. Thanks.
Great. Great to have you, Rich. And also with Concordium's Blockchain Research Institute in Aarhus, Diego Arana, who isn't here today because he's actually sorting out papers for crypto. So crypto, the big symposium. So he's not here today. Tony's not feeling too well today, so he's not here today. But the three of us, including Bas Spitters as well from COBRA and the University of Aarhus, we kind of make up the the hosts for the roundtable discussion that we have. So please check out their Twitter handles, all of their social media, and support them there. These roundtables and the sync-up call follows the Berlin Code of Conduct, the Rust Code of Conduct, and it's just some really simple, decent human being stuff. When we talk and interact with each other, we just do it in a respectful manner, and we just make sure that we're respecting each other and making sure that the discourse and the debate, we do want robust debate, but it's all done within a respectful framework. And here's how we generally run these calls. It's a roundtable style. So it is about interacting and sharing your opinions, sharing what you've got going on. So we will encourage you to participate. The best way that we found when the calls have a large number of people is to keep your video and audio switched off. And when you want to speak, then switch your video on. That will indicate to me that you want to say something. And if you keep your video switched on to make a follow-up point, you'll basically be brought up to have the floor. And that's how we generally tend to run things as well. If you don't have video on your laptop, you can still use the raise hand feature. If you're shy and you don't want to do that, you can still share your points in the chat, and I will scan through and find your point and share them at some point. But priority will be given to those who share their video and audio to indicate that they want to say something. Right, so this is the agenda for today. This whole sync-up call is going to be a bit of a recap. We're going to be focusing a lot on recapping and reviewing the last year. There's a lot to go through because we had a really exciting year last year. So I want to review some of the things that came up on our last calls. We were able to do 6 of these last year, and they're all available on the YouTube. And I also want us to go through some of the highlights and some of the general advancements in Rust crypto. And I also want to recap some of the points that were brought up for further exploration, because there are some things that we've kind of opened the Pandora's box, and there are still some things that need to be wrestled with. There's some things that we need to retread and re-explore and really delve into. Then I want to look forward to the year. I want to ask us all to lay out a mandate for what we want this to be in 2022. We're going to review some of the issues that are still open on our GitHub repository. And then I'm going to share some of the plans that we have for the RCIG calls in the future. We're going to have some special guests, and we're going to have a lot more interactive, proactive opportunities to push things forward with Rust in cryptography. So with that being said, we can start with reviewing the year. And I think it would be good to ask Rich to kind of start off with some of what you feel were the highlights of the year in general, being a part of the Rust Cryptography Interest Group.
Wow, okay. I guess the 2 things that come to mind are mainly about community involvement and participation. One, that I was able to find this community and join it and help to some extent, or any little extent, help move things forward. I think that's really great. And that, Tony had a few extra dollars in his pocket and bought the domain I suggested. So we have the cryptography.rs domain.
Yes, that's a really good thing.
That's I think a real, we have it's hard to think of phrases that aren't, bleed out into the current world, but we have a flagpole to rally around now, right?
Yeah.
We have a single spot that could contain information. So I guess that's it. I'm not, as I said at the beginning, I'm very much a Rust newbie. So I'm not even, qualified, or don't even consider myself qualified to, do code reviews on things that are going into the Rust crypto project.
You're all right, Rich. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know it's okay, but yeah, I think this community, this community is great. We have the potential to be even more important and useful, and I really treasure the connections, and involvement I've made here.
Amazing.
And
Yeah,
I hope everyone else feels similar.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think having the awesome Rust crypto website up was a tangible that we can point to. It's not just like this is a talking shop. This is something that we've actually produced something from as a resource for the community. So for those who may not be aware, we do have an awesome Rust. Is it awesomerust.rs? Awesome Rust Cryptography or awesomerustcrypto.rs.
It's just cryptography.rs.
Okay, cryptography.rs. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's now become like the place where all of the resources that you're looking for in Rust, all the crates are listed under there, under category, so that you know what to pick out. And it is quite exhaustive, don't you think, Rich? It's quite like comprehensive.
Yeah, it's very so when you go to the site, I just put the HTTPS in front. It is a user-friendly display of all of the content that's in GitHub, but there is a high level, breakdown, high level libraries, transport encryption libraries. It's a good way to see, everything that's going on sort of without, it's a judgment-free zone, right? It lists things that people are doing. Some care greatly about TLS, some care not at all about, blockchain stuff. And so here's it's a neutral way to see what's going on. I think the reason why Ernest was confused is because the title, when you first bring it up, is awesome Rust cryptography.
Yes. Yeah. My apologies there. Yeah.
No, not at all. In screaming green, old style CRT fonts.
Right.
And I think there's badges there for whether things have been audited and verified. I think it's great that we're seeing more audits. There's also we should, now that I see this, we should put in a more prominent link to the Zulip chats that are available. So
yes, absolutely.
I'll talk to Tony about that.
Yeah, and absolutely. Please join us on Zulip as well. I'm gonna promote that some more at the end. Okay. And yeah, I think that's also a very important thing for us to have now as well. The fact that we have a Zulip, we have a place where you can talk shop all day and continue the conversation from here is like really important, because there is the main Rust Zulip that a lot of people are at where they ask questions, but this is a specific domain. It's a domain specific forum for you to get really granular into things, and you'll be able to connect with all of the people who they're all there for one reason, because they really care about cryptography and Rust as well. So yeah, having the Zulip is another positive tangible that we have now as a community, and we're able to kind of move forward with that and really kind of make sure that that flourishes and grows and is active as well. I want to open the floor up now to some of the folks in the room to share some of their highlights from 2021, whether you've attended one of these before or just Rust cryptography in general. I'd like to ask each and every one of you to just share one thing about something that you saw improve about Rust cryptography last year. And I'll start with Shady. Shady, it's great to see you. I know you attended a couple of these. How are you doing, first of all? It's great to have you here.
Hello, Ernest.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Things being good so far. So yeah, hello everyone. My name is Shadi Khalifa, and I'm working with web protocol, and we're building privacy tools for blockchain, privacy bridges, and all of this stuff. But to summarize what I did or what did I learn last year is zonology proofs with most of the Rust crypto here.
Yeah.
And I'm working on other side projects where I build end-to-end chat applications with Rust and Flutter as a UI.
Yeah.
And yeah,
what was one of the things that you saw improve about Rust cryptography last year?
Okay, there is a lot of tooling, especially not actually tooling, the libraries, especially the one from Rust Crypto organization. I did found that there is a few changes happened, especially to the SHA libraries and also the ones for the curve. They got updated with the new changes now.
Yes, new curves. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was really helpful, especially there was also like a libraries when you going to use the curves with other crypto or encryption library, and I found some people recommend using the SHA algorithm instead of EAS because it's faster on mobile, and that's what actually had me to the direction to use this instead of using the EAS on mobile.
Right. No, that's great. That's great. I wanted to ask Ashtush next. Sorry again for mispronouncing your name. It would be great to hear from you on one thing that you saw improve about Rust cryptography last year.
I'm actually can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, great to have you.
So I'm actually a very newbie into Rust, but one thing I noticed was that the ArcWorks ecosystem that was released, I think towards the end of last year, was really good. That was one really good set of libraries in Rust that I noticed was, and I really like the discussions about constant time cryptography during this one. So it was a very learning experience for me.
Yeah, they were great, right? They were great. I mean, that's a really difficult, challenging part of this whole space, and that's something that we still need to retread. I don't want to feel like, we're just going to go down a rabbit hole, because there are some things that just are intractable with that. But it was really good to peel back some of the layers and really peel the onion with that, to get into the depths of why it's so difficult to sort this out. So I think there's still a lot more to learn, and who knows, I think we're still trying to pull in some of the LLVM people to be part of the conversation. I think the more we continue to peel back the layers around that, the more some sort of epiphany may happen around it, or, we can continue to, get the compiler team and the LLVM team and more of us just talking about it, we can possibly get there with some sort of solution. Neil, it'd be great to hear from you on what you felt about Rust cryptography last year, just in general, like one thing that you saw about Rust cryptography that was an improvement for you. It's great to have you, by the way. Hello, Neil. Okay, I think Neil may not be there. Hi, Neil. Great to have you. You can share in the chat one thing that you felt was great about Rust cryptography last year, one thing that you saw as an improvement in Rust last year, and then I can read it out. No problem. And while you're doing that, I will jump to Dirk-Jan. Great to have you, Dirk-Jan.
Hi. So, well, I'm a Russell's maintainer, so I thought it was pretty exciting that we got Russell's 0.20 out, which has a whole lot of improvements.
Man, thank you for the hard work. Yeah. Thank you for the hard work. You're very much appreciated. And it's great to have you actually in the room. What were some of the challenges in getting that done? Because that was like a big deal.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to get rid of obvious like panic situations. So a lot of like unwrap calls, and I spent a lot of time refactoring to basically make better use of the type system to avoid panics, and also to separate TLS 1.2 and TLS 1.3 support in Russell's.
Yes, and Neil has made a great point. This was something I was actually going to follow up and ask you about. Neil has said that they love the stabilization of inline assembly function, and how lots of Rust cryptography libraries were finally reviewed. In particularly, rustcrypt.org did an amazing job by bringing some of the common protocols into pure Rust. Yes, and that was something that's been requested by quite a few people, right? It's like, rather than just dealing with wrappers, we want like pure Rust implementations. Dirk-Jan, does the stabilization of inline assembly have any impact for what you may want to do with Russell's in the future? Like, or is that just not explored yet?
Russell's itself doesn't have any unsafe code, so I expect it to also not have any inline assembly. I suspect it might be used in Ring, like the low-level crypto library that Russell's relies on. Right. I'm not plugged in to Ring enough to know what the plans are for that. Right.
No, that's really good to know. It's really good to know there's no unsafe. I mean, in the context of that, but
so I think I just want to point out the fact that you can, cleanly depend on Ring without getting intimately involved in its, or having intimate knowledge of its plans and future evolution, I think is really important. It shows that like both of them are, stable and well established, right?
Yeah, I think Ring is a great like general purpose cryptography library, and it makes a lot of sense the way we have separated Russell's from Ring itself. And I use Ring for other things as well, and that works quite well.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Rich, about things becoming more established. Is that something that we feel that we're seeing across the board with Rust cryptography in general last year? Like with Rust in general, we've had like seminal years. Like I feel 2019 going into 2020 was a seminal year for Rust with async. And has there been, do you feel like last year might have been something similar in the specific domain of Rust cryptography?
I think const generics is probably also a pretty big deal for a lot of cryptography code. Yes.
I think that's, I just want to give a shout out to LCNR and their work on const generics, as well as the whole team. And I think like there's going to be some more exciting work to be done around that. But again, that's had a very positive impact, right?
Yeah, I would say certainly that maybe not 2021, but say the second half of last year and the first half of this year. I think these 12 months are going to be pretty seminal, to use that. That's a good word.
Yeah.
We got portable consts. We've got more knowledge, much more knowledge about. We've got libraries that are getting audited, and a framework for building a whole. If you're stuck, if you have to use it, you have to use it, but a whole ASN1 DIR structure for all of the X509 stuff. From my point of view, we seem really close to being on the verge of greatness. So I'd say, yeah, it's a seminal year, but the year started in June and will end in next June.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great way to view it. And actually following on to that, I think this will be a great question to segue into, again, to go around the room. What are some of the things that you're super optimistic about this year and looking forward to seeing feature-wise? Both from like Rust in itself, as in the core Rust project, and also specifically Rust Crypto. We'll start again with Rich, and then Neil, feel free to type in the chat whatever you feel, and then I'll speak, and then we can go to Ashutosh.
Okay, so I'm hoping to be, increase my experience and expertise in Rust so that I can be a more contributing member, not just not quote just, but not just a cheerleader and encouragement. We're definitely, on the, what is it? They call it the hockey stick adoption curve. My company, which is notorious, well, inside it, notoriously conservative and so on, sees, the value proposition of Rust, and hopefully we'll see more adoption. I think the fact that things are falling out into an organized structure is really, really important. And so I'm really looking forward to more of that. The portable assembler, the increased audits and cons time, I think is really great. And the Dejan is probably, a little modest, but I think the ISRG funding of Russell's and its adoption and integration into things like curl and Apache are really important.
Yeah, I think that's something that we could really get into as well, to see how did that happen, how did that process come about, because like you're saying, like really conservative projects and companies are just getting it with Rust, which is a very good sign for the future of the language. Ashutosh, should be great to hear from you about what you're looking forward to Rust crypto wise, and what you're really hoping for and optimistic about.
Yeah, sure. I really don't have much to say since I'm just very new to the Rust, but I would say that I'm looking forward to having enough experience in Rust that I'm able to contribute to these open source libraries.
Yeah.
So that is something I'm looking forward to this year.
Yeah. Is there a specific thing that you would like to see implemented in Rust, in the Rust crypto domain?
No, sorry. I don't have an answer for that.
No worries. But it's good that, people want to be proactive and jump in and help, because that's one area that, is very important for, the DevX initiative and everything else as well, is helping more maintainers and helping more people come on board and help out projects that need maintenance. We know that open source projects live and die by their maintainers, the people who want to contribute, and they need help, they need money, they need resources, and we need more of them. So I think, just from those two answers from you and Rich are really, really important for how far we have to go, and how, supported this language and this area of the programming language could be if there's more people who feel like that. Shady, please come in. What are you optimistic about? What are the things that you're looking forward to? What would you like to see in Rust crypto? Hello, Shady. Okay, I think he may have just jumped off, or he's on another part of his laptop. Dirkjan, it would be great to hear from you on that point.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about like other projects that the ISRG is working on. This might not be directly crypto related, but they're bringing up some project. They're working on some projects to build an NTP client and server, and also a DNS, a recursive DNS resolver, making use of everything that Rust has to offer, including modern crypto. So I think that will be good for security, if maybe not directly for cryptography.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's great to hear. It'll be great to hear more about that when you have more to share in the future. it'd be great to have you come and bring a presentation on, share more about that process as well. That sounds really interesting. Okay, now we get to the moaning. Now we get to some of the stuff that we felt was lacking or wasn't so great. What were some of the things that you feel? I mean, if you look at some of the past calls that we've had, what we reviewed a lot of last year was some of the issues with constant time. Ashutosh, what were some of the things that you learned about constant time and what was needed from last year's calls, especially some of the discussions with Nico and when we had Nico on from the compiler team and Tony. It is a really, really tricky thing to solve, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I learned a lot about what are the challenges that come forward when you're trying to implement constant time cryptography, which was, and everyone's inputs during those calls. I think there were like 2 or 3 of them, and each of them were very insightful about these challenges. So yeah, I really enjoyed those calls more than anything else.
Yeah, no, they were really important to, again, really uncover some of the issues with, trying to get a secret type into the standard library. That was one thing that we wrestled with early on. If it's possible, if it should be, some of the optimizations, or I don't want to say over optimizations, but like trying to kind of make the compiler understand the nuance optimizations that we want and we don't want when it comes to the cryptography side of things. Those were really insightful for me. Yeah. Do you remember those? Do you have anything around those to share?
No, not really.
Okay, no, but those were, yeah, again, those were really important points and something that we still need to kind of retread. But Jan, is there anything like you felt was lacking last year from Rust crypto, things that you wanted to see implemented that didn't, things that, some shortcomings, areas of improvement?
So one thing that I've been thinking about is something like a panic-free slice type in the standard library, where rather than having all kinds of functions that can just panic because you're out of range, it would instead return an option or something. And that way it would be easier to write like more reliable code, or it's more obvious in the code if you're doing something dangerous. Yeah, and again, would that negate the need for any kind of unsafe? No, it's not. No, I don't think it's really about negating unsafe. It's more about making the characteristics of the code more obvious and thus making it easier to write reliable code.
I guess there is a lint or something from Clippy to forbid using slicing, and it will force you to use .get or the method to get a...
Sure, but there's also stuff like split at or split at mute, which are useful, and they can panic if the split point is like out of range.
And also copy from slice if it's not the same size.
Yeah, exactly. So a bunch of stuff like that. It would be good if there was a type or some way that you could avoid panicking for like these sort of low-level operations.
I guess sadly we can't change much in the standard library. Probably it will be adding more lints and you have to activate them. Like
I think the standard library team was open to potentially entertaining a separate panic-free slice type that you might be able to use.
Interesting.
Yes, Shedi, it would be great to hear about you, more of what you wanted to see, things that you didn't necessarily, things that you wanted to see last year that didn't happen, some of the points of improvement.
So yeah, as I mentioned before, it's like I have no idea about this new website, the cryptography.rs. Just now I got to know it.
Yeah.
So we need like more, like you manage some of the Twitter accounts for Rust Crypto. So we need like some people to retweet more about that. So other people know there is a website exists for certain stuff.
Yes.
Back then I was always searching,
Yes.
and I guess this website would help because sometimes I don't know which function should I use, and which also sometimes I will just go and search for Wikipedia for a specific function to do something, and then later on I will try. Okay, I hope, like, crossing your finger to find a pure Rust implementation for this function or this cryptography primitives.
Right.
And sometimes you will find it, but it will be like from 2016 or something.
Yes.
And it's just very, very old Rust. Even it compiles, but there is a lot of places to improve. And you say to yourself, but I'm not really that expert to rewrite it again or be reporting it to the new Rust with the new constraints or something, fearing that you will introduce more bugs or maybe worse security hole or something, and people could build on top of that.
Yes.
So yeah, so I really like the thing that I really would be good is that to retweet more about resources and website. Like there is this GitHub bot with Twitter that will retweet with some specific topics related to Rust, like the new repo that got a lot of stars or a new repo got created with a lot of attention in the last few days. And yes, I guess it's called Rust trending or something.
Yeah.
So it's something similar to that for Rust crypto libraries.
And that was a really good point you made, because when I went onto the GitHub repo for the website just now to recap on some things, I was surprised to see that we'd reached 120 something stars on GitHub. And I was like, wow, okay, that's, so I think you're definitely right in sharing more resources, updating the current resources, and actually we need more resources, right? So I think those 3 points are things that those are the 3 areas that we really need to cover. So, we started by even, creating the website and putting that out there, but we definitely need to amplify that it exists a lot more. So that's a very good point. Very good point.
Yep.
So, that actually brings on to the next point of what we were going to talk about. What resources do we need? We had this conversation a couple of times last year as well. Some people want more kind of like MD book style walkthroughs on a lot of the different libraries and features that Rust has for cryptography, but it'll be great to hear more from all of you what you feel is needed resource-wise for Rust crypto. And we can start with just learning and being able to use Rust crypto. Dirkjan, are you unmuted? Did you want to say something?
I don't really have any particular documentation needs. I generally manage to make do with what's out there.
But what would make your life easier, or what would make someone using something that you're maintaining possibly easier?
I find in the Rust crypto crates that I use, I find the API is often hard to use and a lot of trades interaction and stuff.
Okay,
so that's something that could maybe be improved?
Yeah, is that like what Shady mentioned with it being, old Rust?
No, I don't think it's old Rust. I think I don't know why. It's probably due to the specific way it's put together and also the way that it tries to generalize over a lot of aspects. I think that makes the code often harder to use. For example, recently I had to use AES 256 CTR for something, and there was an upgrade or an update to the AES or block cipher crates or whatever, and a bunch of API changed in a way that wasn't really obvious nor well documented, so that made for a painful upgrade.
Yeah. Okay. So like breaking changes.
Yeah, that are not well documented.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, well, that's like programming, right? So across the board.
But if there was a good change log, it would probably be could be easier to.
Yes, and I think that also goes to what Shady was saying about like finding stuff and then realizing that it hadn't been updated for this amount of time. That goes to the bigger issue of maintainers and maintaining projects anyway. I wanted to add a little bit to this question around, and this is directed to Rich and Ashtush. What resources would both of you need to make you feel more confident and comfortable to contribute to Rust Crypto? Is Rich, if you're back, I know you said you had to step away for a couple of minutes. If you're back, give us a signal. Okay, I guess he's still away. Ashtush, would you like to chime in on that question? What would make you feel more comfortable? What resources do you feel that you would need to feel more comfortable in contributing?
Yeah, sure. So basically, when I started with the Rust, the walkthrough that Rust provides on their website, official website, was quite a good introduction to how I got started with Rust. So that was actually good. It was very similar to the Golang language, where you have a tour of Golang where they give you an idea of all the primitives that they have. So it was very similar to that, which I found very useful. Yeah, that is probably the only documentation I've gone through for getting started with Rust. After that, I just played around with the language and built a few toy projects to try and understand how it works. So I think the introductory tutorial by Rust is pretty good.
Yeah. Would you have found it useful to have like some toy examples specifically for crypto to help you kind of get a handle on things there?
Oh yes, absolutely. That would be really great, because I probably think that if there is an already a very mature project, then a beginner won't be able to understand what decisions led to the code that is already present in that library. So a beginner friendly toy example of any cryptographic primitive would be nice.
Okay, that's a great point. That's a great point. Thank you for that. And I think that's kind of like a bit of a no-brainer. So I think that's something that we can look at as like low-hanging fruit for the future to work on together. Dirk-Jan, did you want to come in with something?
No, sorry.
Oh, okay, so I just saw you were unmuted. Okay, so yeah, I think that would be something to put on the list of things. We had gone through a lot of different points. I think there's one point I wanted to share. I'm just going to share my screen again, and this is from Franciscus Kiefer. Great having you, Dirk-Jan. Thank you very much for attending. We're looking forward to seeing you again at many more of these. I'm just going to share my screen, and this was from Franciscus Kiefer, who made a very good point about here. Understand and guide Rust crypto usage. So I'm just going to read this out on his behalf. He's a very well-known, prominent maintainer and contributor, an all-round amazing person in this space. So just reading this out, the way cryptography is structured in Rust differs a lot from the way it is used in C, absolutely. In the C world, we have these large monolithic libraries like OpenSSL, etc. Whilst these exist in Rust as well, with crates such as Ring, mostly wrappers, the approach differs for most Rust-only cryptography, where individual crates are used for each type of cryptographic primitive. This group should try to understand how cryptography crates are used. At the same time, the group should try to define what it thinks ideal, safe usage of cryptography in Rust should look like. Eventually, the two angles can be used to come up with recommendations for cryptography implementers and consumers to make Rust cryptography usable and safe. What do you guys think about that point? I think that's a very poignant point. You know, it's about understanding how to use, you know, the crates. Again, in a not just in a safe way, but in a way that kind of really gives you the full context of what you're using it for. What do you guys think on that?
I guess I really agree with that. Especially we can say that if we provided like a real world examples where this crate being used, so that means that the people are searching, they can go there, look into that, and starting understanding how it's being used in real world examples.
Yes.
So they can get an idea if this was gonna fit them or not.
Yes.
And
so I think that would complement what we were talking about, toy examples. So it would be toy examples for like generic intro usage. And then we go and expand on that by giving you a real world use case of how it's being used to give you that full context, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that's something that we can definitely put on the table for the future, and something that we can definitely look into. Right, I think with the time that we have left, I just wanted to talk a little bit on some of the plans and agenda for this sync-up call for the community and what we want to do this year. Again, it'll be great to have some of your input on this, and I'm really excited for what is to come this year. One of the things that I discussed with Rich and Tony and Diego as well is that we wanted to have like a mixture of these types of calls. I want to encourage discourse. I want to encourage debate. I want to encourage people sharing ideas and cross-pollinating ideas. That's the core of this community. But I also think it would be great to have more AMA style events as well. We are hoping to have some special guests come in and do some AMAs in the following months as well. But we want to always maintain that like the core of this is about conversation and also about sharing ideas and trying to improve the space. What are some of the things that you would like to see from the community this year? What would you like us to do to improve the way we do things this year? And that's open to Ashtush, Shady, Neil. Please feel free to type in the chat whatever you have on your mind as well. So Shady, it'd be great for you to start. What would you like to see more from us?
I do agree with EMA a lot, especially if we could host a lot of Rust experts in the crypto and cryptographic in general. And we will could ask them examples, for example, about the usage case of their project. Is this like, what should I use?
Right.
And maybe we can record or make them as an FAQ for people in the future, if you can just read it in our website.
Right. That's a good idea. Even though, sometimes you don't want to take somebody else's anecdotal experience and make it generic across the board, because even with programming, there's so many nuances and edge cases and corner cases. But I do like the idea of having like a general FAQ in the best case generic scenario type thing. So
that's the one. The second would be actually the people that's already working on other projects, like even if it's a side project, or their work or whatever, they can like, prepare a checklist or something that for that, and people could ask them why they used that. So the other people could get an idea and hear what they are using and ask them questions too, and how they using these tools or just libraries inside their projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are very, very good suggestions. Ashutosh, is there anything else that you would like to see from the Rust Cryptography Interest Group this year?
Yeah. So for example, with the ArcWorks ecosystem, it would be really good if we could bring some of their maintainers and discuss with them how they, what challenges they faced and how they went about tackling those.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be great if we could reach out to them. And I think sometimes you find that happens anyway. And I think what we'll do is we'll work on getting the word out more, because once you put the word out there, people just generally tend to come anyway. It was really interesting that we had a maintainer from Russell's just turn up, and then we were able to have that type of conversation with them. So I think the same would apply for Artworks, Ring, or any of the other sort of prominent crates in the space that we want to hear from, the maintainers of prominent crates that we want to hear from. So I definitely agree with you there as well. I think we're going to have a lot of fun this year. I think there's lots to get into. I'm going to be working on some of the points that you said about putting the word out there about the resources that are already available, and also sharing that a lot more. And also, we're going to revisit the repo as well and look through some of the things that we wanted to get done last year and put that on the table again. I think get us working together on practical things a lot more as well. So I'm really excited for a lot of things this year and everything that this year is going to hold. It's great having you all here. I think we will wrap this up now, just with the few of us here. Thank you all for turning up so last minute. Thank you for engaging in this conversation. I'm really looking forward to some of the special announcements that we're going to be having in March and April. I'm going to be changing up how we do a lot of this call, and we may be moving to a new platform. So that's why it's taking me a little bit of time to get into gear this year, because I'm working on moving the DevX initiative and a platform to somewhere onto a new platform. So keep an eye out on the Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at DevX Initiative. And also, please jump on the Zulip, use the Zulip, chat in there. Any questions you have, there'll be people in there. The more of us that chat in there, the more busier it comes. I think Rich has already shared that link in there. So feel free to chat away and continue this conversation in the Zulip. If anything comes up after this call that you wanted to share that you didn't feel comfortable sharing on this call, please feel free to DM at DevX Initiative, and then we'll table that for the next call. Again, thank you all for being here. This session was recorded and it will be shared on our YouTube channel. Hopefully that's okay with all of you. Please let me know if it isn't. And I will see you next month. Thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Ashutosh, Shady, and Neil. And we'll see each other really soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.